me because so much of my family for many years didn't have papers, my parents included, came across the border, were undocumented for years. In fact, the way my mother had to get her papers was through marrying an American citizen, like so many other people have to do. And in 2006, I remember my parents saying, "Favi, let's go march to the streets." And it was interesting that they knew of a protest before I did, because my parents were the kind of people who would say, how could you be going to those protests and with all those crazy anarchists that you're hanging out with, and what are you doing? Or don't provoke the police. And then, they tell me to go to a protest. And I realized what had been happening is that through Spanish language radio on a national level, there had been a call out for people to take to the streets. And it was a surprise to all of us organizers that such a mass movement really happened right under our noses. And what was the whole call out was saying, everybody wear white and bring your American flags, and we're gonna say, we're Americans too, and we're gonna march. Millions of people marched. I don't know if you've ever seen that news, but LA, Chicago, the Bay Area marched, and it was such a surprise because if you kind of can consider what the culture is, very similar to what Asian Americans experience, is we have an emphasis on assimilation. We're about kind of being very, we assimilate, don't make noise, don't ruffle the feathers, just be a good immigrant, be a model minority. Now the problems in that is that in our messaging, some of the stuff that was coming out was saying, hey, we're workers, we're not terrorists. We're workers, we're not criminals. And so you can imagine, it becomes very easy to say, these Mexicans are so much more safer than these black people, or these Arabs, so let's legalize them. And so it's not about creating divisive stuff like that. I think we have to be very careful in the immigrant rights movement. But this piece was around saying what we're about. Because I kind of, I told my parents, I'm not going to carry an American flag. That's symbol of genocide. I don't want to carry that. But I had to then make something that was about that moment in time, which is still going on. And that's when this poster was created. And we handed it out at a bunch of immigrant rights rallies. And it kind of has become a symbol for the immigrant rights movement. Now this piece, I think also in our work as media activists, as artists, as just people making things for representing what we're about, we have to reframe how it is that we want to be talked about ourselves and where we're going, because so many times the mainstream media imposes their